Hello my students, today in this video we'll study the poem I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, which is written by Maya Angelou. So without much ado, let's get started. Maya Angelou was a feminist writer. She was from the ethnic group African American, and she has raised her voice against the oppression that was given, or the harsh treatment that was given to the Afro-Americans. She was herself a victim of racism and misogyny. She was a survivor of rape. Therefore, she raised her voice against oppression against women or oppression against people from the African American group. From the book Treasure Trove, Maya Angelou is a powerful feminist writer of African American ethnicity. They can ask you this in MCQs. She's a widely acclaimed author, poet and civil rights activist. Now, in America, the people were given the right to discriminate. Now, what I mean by this? According to the law, the areas were segregated. There was apartheid system, according to which there were different benches, different schools, different parks, etc. for the people of the white skin color and for the people who had black skin color. They were discriminated according to law, and when they raised voice against these laws, that was called civil rights movement. Activists who worked closely with Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X. Now this they can ask in MCQs that with whom she worked. Maya Angelou had an extremely traumatic childhood. Traumatic, of course, she was discriminated, she was abused, therefore it was a traumatic childhood. And her poem, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, written in 1969. So this poetry was written in the year 1969. Tells of her life up to the age of 17. It is this poem that brought her international acclaim and recognition. So she became an internationally celebrated author once she wrote this poetry. The bird in the cage is a symbol. Now this is very important. This is an extended metaphor or symbolism which the poet has used, that is Maya Angelou has used, in order to represent the Americans, the African American group. Their fight for freedom. So in this poetry, the poet has used free bird in contrast to the caged bird, and caged bird has become the symbol of people who were discriminated, like the African Americans. Whereas the white or the free bird was representative of the white people who were enjoying immense freedom. It symbolizes the struggle of being a black author whose words are not heard and of one who longs for freedom. So this poetry is telling that how someone has been craving for freedom and even his or her voice is not being heard. The poem talks about the plight of a caged bird and the plight of a free bird. Let's get started. Before we begin, let's remember that I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. This title was taken from Paul Laurence Dunbar's poem Sympathy, which was written in lyrics of the Hearth Side. Now this is an allusion because a reference is there to the classical work or some other work of the writer. So this can come in MCQs, you must take note of this. It is autobiographical because the same title has been used in her autobiography as well. The poem is talking about her experiences, therefore it has an element of autobiography. Now, a free bird leaps on the back of the wind. Here it is said, they are telling about the free bird first. There is juxtaposition as well. Juxtaposition is when two contrasting ideas are put together to highlight the difference between two things. So, free bird is being discussed. It is leaping. It is jumping on the back of the wind. On the back of the wind is personification. Leaping is kinesthetic imagery. Kinesthetic imagery is when you talk about the movement of something. Back of the wind is personification because the wind does not have back. and floats downstream. Now this is very important. Downstream means the wind is favoring the flight of the bird. Therefore, it is hinting or it is symbolic of how everything in the nature is suitable for the freedom of the bird, how it is giving it more power to become more free and more liberal. Till the current ends. Now we know that the current is never going to end. The air keeps flowing, right? It keeps blowing. Therefore, the bird is going to enjoy freedom forever. And dips his wings. Now the dip his wings, the bird is said to dip its wings in the orange sun rays. So it is color imagery in the sky which has the orange color because of the sunset, and dares to claim the sky. And the bird dares to claim the sky. Now this is an example of hyperbole because sky doesn't belong to anyone, but the bird is claiming it. Now this poetry is written in free verse form, okay? But a cage. Now but here is showing the contrast, that how on the contrary the other bird is suffering. But a bird that stalks down means its movement is confined. It is moving up and down in that limited confined space where it is shackled down in his narrow cage. Narrow cage. The cage is told to be very small because the bird has very much less opportunities, very much less, I would say, the freedom. He doesn't enjoy things in abundance like the free bird. Can seldom see through. Now seldom see through is an example of alliteration. Means he can rarely or he can hardly see through or peep through his bars of rage. Here bars are referring to the literal bars of the cage, but it is referred metaphorically as bars of rage because due to that state of confinement, due to that state of incarceration of the bird in that close space, the bird is unable to move out, which has filled him with a lot of anguish and pain and anger. Therefore, these obstacles, these bars are referred as bars of rage. This is a very important question. You should remember that his confinement has become all invasive and he's pent up. He is, built up with a lot of anger within him. His wings are clipped and his feet are tied. It shows that how there are so much obstacles apart from that confined space, apart from that confined, narrow small cage. His wings are also clipped. His feet are also tied. So it is such a traumatic condition. This is told to highlight that how the people belonging to the backward stratum or the people belonging to the, groups which are being discriminated, they have to suffer. So he opens his throat to sing. Now the bird, as it is denied to move around, it has to open its throat, means he has to sing through that, so that its voice is heard by the people and he can enjoy freedom. He can inspire others also to speak for freedom, and he can tell his need for freedom to the other people. This is auditory imagery, throat to sing. Then his seldom see-through bars of rage can be called example of visual imagery. Then the caged bird sings with a fearful trill, means he's singing but his musical tone, fearful trill means the musical notes that are sung. So at that song which is singing, the tone that he's producing is fearful. Why? Because it is pent up with emotions of anger. He has a lot of pain within him. He is therefore singing in a fearful, means wavering tone, not consistent, that trembling tone because of anger. Of things unknown. Of things unknown means he is ironically singing about things which he has not even experienced, that is freedom. But longed for still. But longed for still means he still desires for this freedom. Although not enjoyed by the bird yet, but he wants to enjoy the freedom. And his tune is heard on the distant hills, and its voice is heard at far off places. Why? So that others can be inspired to sing, to vocalize their thoughts. For the caged bird sings of freedom, because the caged bird has been singing of freedom. Now you might have noticed when we talk about the free bird, what are they talking about? They are talking about wind, they are talking about sun, they are talking about sky, where sun becomes, a symbol of supremacy, it becomes symbol of self-assurance, confidence. Then the wind, it becomes the symbol of freedom to do whatever one wills to do, unconfined, limitless, and then the sky, which has no bounds. Again, sky is a free firmament. So we can see how the words have been chosen by the writer when he talks about the free bird and when he talks about this caged bird, narrow cage, which is symbolic of limited or confined opportunities. Then he's talking about wings being clipped, feet being tired. He's talking about the relentless, or I would say limitless, obstacles in the path of the bird. Now let's move to the next page. The free bird thinks of another breeze. Again, there is juxtaposition. Again, they are back to the free bird, that how the free bird is enjoying and is thinking of another favorable breeze, another breeze which is going to give it more height to fly. And the trade winds soft. Now the trade winds are the winds which flow from east to west. So they are saying the trade winds which are going to come and they are going to cross through the trees, which are going to produce that sighing voice when these winds go across them. So here sighing trees is again personification. Trees are told to sigh. And the fat worms waiting on a dawn bright lawn. Now they are saying that the worms, which is actually a food for the birds, it is also fat, which shows that the free bird is enjoying innumerable resources and opportunities on a dawn bright lawn. On a dawn bright lawn means a lawn during the time when the sun rays are directly falling on it and it is looking very bright. And he claims the sky his own, and now he has even dared to name the sky as his own, which means that it is hyperbole. Now, in this paragraph, the writer has tried to show that the abundance and opportunities and resources are immensely enjoyed by the free bird. It has the freedom of thought, it has the freedom of movement, it can enjoy the nature, it has free food, which they've said the food that is worms are waiting, means he does not even need to toil to find freedom for his own self. But a caged bird stands on the grave of dreams. They are saying that the caged bird is standing on the grave, means the deathbed of its dreams. Dreams to enjoy freedom. So here grave becomes the symbolism of death. Why? It is intensifying that how even the dreams of the free bird to enjoy freedom have become waste, futile, and they are dead. His shadow shouts. The shadow of the bird is said to shout, which is personification and alliteration, as sure sound is repeating. On a nightmare scream. And it seems that they have seen some nightmarish, dream. The nightmare for them is the, shunning of their dream of freedom. So it seems that they have seen some nightmare and they are screaming, means they are producing a haunting sound when they listen the serious distress, or when they just visualize the serious distress of the dreams becoming fatal. His wings are clipped and his feet are tied. So the dreams are again futile, and wings are also clipped and feet are tied. Again, it is repetition which is used to emphasize that how dreadful is the condition of the caged bird. The caged bird sings with a fearful trill of things unknown. So in this paragraph, it is a deliberate repetition. Why? Because here there is the faint hope that somewhere down the line in life they are going to enjoy freedom. Now, we have done the paraphrasing. Apart from this, there are some things that you need to remember. Like there is the extended metaphor used. Extended metaphor of the free bird and caged bird. Metaphor is when you use or compare one thing to the other, right? In this poem, the caged bird has become a symbol of African Americans and the free bird have become symbol for white Americans. It can also be called an extended metaphor. Why? Because metaphor is limited to a line. But as it is not confined to a line, this comparison of caged bird to African Americans is not confined to one line. Therefore, it is extended metaphor. Juxtaposition means contrasting ideas are put together to draw the comparison. Then the themes are very important. First theme is horrors and cruelty of captivity. how the poem shows that this shackled state of the bird, or the captivity of the bird, the incarceration of the bird, has left such a trauma within him that he is shouting, he is howling, he is making that haunting sounds. Why? Because he feels that his dreams have become futile. It tells that how the bars of cage have become the bars of his anguish and anger. Then the second theme is freedom versus slavery. In freedom, you can justify it by writing about the freedom enjoyed by the free bird. The fat worms have been enjoyed, the right to even claim the sky as its own. Then even the winds were favorable, the downstream flow of the bird, or in sun sky, then it is enjoying the free firmament, etc., can be mentioned in this. Then slavery, we can tell that the bird was shackled, its wings were clipped, its feet were tied. All this can come to justify the slavery part of the theme. Then autobiographical, of course, I told you this title was taken from her autobiography, and also it talks about her life, that how she had suffered. Therefore, it is autobiographical. Allusion is the figure of speech which is very important, which is used in the title itself. Apart from this, this poem is very important. Why? Because in contemporary relevance, if we think about it, in our society, discrimination may not be on the basis of racism, but there is gender discrimination, there is caste discrimination, and a lot of things are happening. So, here, the free bird can be seen as anybody who is enjoying immense freedom, and caged bird can be seen as a metaphor or a symbol for anybody who is discriminated on any basis, no matter what. So, in this way, this poem holds a great contemporary relevance, the relevance in our times. Apart from this, the title, the justification is important. I know why the caged bird sings. Now, we know that why the caged bird is singing, because it has no other option. It is confined, that imprisonment, that state of being captive has led him to only sing, because that's the only way how it can express its need for freedom, how it can how its indelible voice can inspire various others to stand up and demand freedom. That's all for the poem I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Also, I'll combine 10 MCQs and I would be really happy if you answer to them in the comments. Let's discuss the MCQs. The first MCQ is from the extract. But a caged bird stands on the grave of dreams. His shadow shouts on a nightmare scream. His wings are clipped and his feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing. First question is, why does the caged bird stand on the grave of dreams? Option A, because he is about to die and his dreams would remain unfulfilled. B, because all his dreams of freedom had died by his being imprisoned and unable to fly. C, because he is standing on the grave of his dead partner and cannot realize his dreams. D, because his dreams are so unrealistic and cannot be achieved in this world. Question number 2. Which of the following choices explain the meaning of the phrase shadow shouts? A, the caged bird's shadow can slip out and shout for freedom. B, the caged bird's shadow is dark, indicating his helplessness at achieving freedom. C, the caged bird's dream is just like a shadow that will vanish soon and remain unfulfilled forever. And D, the caged bird's shadow will be visible to all and will convey his message. Question 3. What does the nightmare scream indicate? A, the caged bird screams on seeing a free bird. B, the caged bird is so dejected in his imprisonment that he screams like someone having a nightmare. And C, the caged bird screams with fear after seeing that he is being throttled to death in a cage. And D, the caged bird's hopes are dashed due to a nightmare. Question 4. What is the similarity between the caged bird and the poetess? The poetess, like the caged bird, has a restricted freedom but refuses to be silenced. B. The poetess is in prison like the caged bird. C. The poetess is under house arrest from where she raises her voice for freedom. And D. The poetess is in exile and longs to be with her family. Question 5. Which figure of speech is used in the phrase, his shadow shouts? A. Metaphor, B. Simile, C. Repetition, and D. Personification. Now the second extract, which will be followed by 5 questions. The free bird thinks of another breeze, and the trade winds soft through the sighing trees, and the fat worms waiting on a dawn-bright lawn, and he names the sky his own. Which of the following states the significance of another breeze for the free bird? A. With the help of another breeze, he will be able to claim the sky as his own. B. With the help of another breeze, he will be able to claim the entire universe as his own. C. With the help of another breeze, he will be able to rule over the world. And D. With the help of another breeze, he will be able to achieve everything under the sun. Question number 2. What does another breeze refer to in the context of the whites? The whites' desire to claim the entire world as their own. B. The whites' desire to have more monetary benefits. C. The whites' desire to civilize the world. And D. The whites' desire to add to the freedom they already had. Question number 3. How have the trees been personified in the given extract? They have been assigned the human trait of thinking. They have been assigned the human trait of sighing. They have been assigned the human trait of singing. They have been assigned the human trait of walking through the winds. And fourth question. What does the expression fat worms waiting on a dawn-bright lawn signify? The freedom and opportunities available to the whites on a platter. B. The desire of the whites to devour everything that comes in their way. C. The desire of the whites to curb the freedom of the African Americans. And D. The level to which the whites could stoop to suppress the African Americans. Last question. What does the free bird's act of naming the sky his own symbolize? The caged bird's inability to snatch freedom from the free bird. B. There are no other birds to contest for the sky with the free bird. C. The free bird's courage to name the sky as his own. And D. The free bird intimidating and oppressive nature. Do not forget to share with your friends so that they can also attempt the MCQs.